What's up, everybody? It is Sean with 614 Inc. Reviews and How-Tos coming at you again today with a real quick sneaker review on a pair of Air Jordan 13s in the He Got Game colorway. Anybody that follows the channel or has seen my review videos knows that I like to follow a blueprint so that you get consistency and as much information as possible throughout these review videos. And so everything that I review on my channel is purchased from DHgate. These shoes were purchased from the seller sportshoes_sneaker. You saw the checklist in the intro. We're just going to go right down the bullet points. They were purchased for a cost of $46.42 plus $14.01 shipping for a total of $60.43. Now I like to comment on that real quick because I always get comments about when we start to go over these things and we find defects. People are always like, yeah, if you bought a pair of AAA reps for 200 bucks, you wouldn't have any of that stuff. That's not what we're about here on this channel. What we're about is buying the cheapest, most cost-effective pair of replica J's possible to see if we can find that diamond in the rough, $60 or close to $60 price point pair of replicas that could pass off as a real plausible OG rep. I've never understood the point of spending $200 on a pair of fake J's when you can get the real thing for that much. So take the gamble, buy the $60 reps, see if they pass off as real. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but that's what this channel is about. So initial impressions. Even though these are unboxed, I have not looked at them closely. I like to do that with you guys here so that you get real raw impressions. And they do look really good. I can tell you that they did come in an OG 13 box. It was crushed, even though the box came protected in the air bladders with the cellophane wrapping over it. When they get shipped from China and just thrown about for, you know, days and days and days and weeks on end, the boxes always get crushed. Furthermore, the labels are inaccurate, the dates are inaccurate, the serial numbers are inaccurate, and there are additional stickers present on almost every box that I've ever seen that have actual like Chinese handwriting on them. So you're gonna know if you're trying to dupe somebody and buy a pair of reps and sell them off as the real thing, it's never gonna work, and I don't condone that anyways. We are about here like personal use. Can you buy this $60 pair of reps and wear it out and have people think that you have an actual pair of J's for less than a third of the cost? And so smell test. They smell great. I haven't reviewed a pair of shoes personally since I started this channel that did not pass the smell test. Even though manufacturers of these replicas use cheaper quality materials, they still smell authentic now. You don't get the toxic chemical glue smell that you used to like reps way back in the day that were real bad. And so at this point in the video, I like to actually throw these on my feet, and instead of just doing the initial impression, which I'm really impressed, I like to go over them very, very, very closely and see what we can find. And I've reviewed lots of 13s before in the past, and what I've found, and not just on the 13s, but on a lot of replica J's, that across the board on a certain style of J, whether it be the 3s, the 4s, the 13s, whatever have you, you tend to get the same quality control defects over and over and over, regardless of the colorway. And so just having reviewed some 13s in the past, I kind of know what I'm looking for, and I'm already seeing some of those same defects present on these shoes. But it's, again, whether or not they are bad enough to get you called out. So let me throw these on my feet, live with them for an hour, and then we'll come back and talk about the fitment, the feel, and then I'll go over them again really closely while we're off camera and bring to you any major defects that I find to let you know, if we think these could be a good enough replica to pass off as the real thing. So we'll be right back. Alright, so I had these on my feet for about an hour. I do like to run and jump in them a little bit, even though I never recommend doing any type of athletics or strenuous exercise in a pair of replicas because the quality is not there. You could blow a shoe out and hurt yourself, but the on-foot feel is perfect. They're actually super duper comfortable. The one thing I will say is they are very light. I actually went and got my OG 13 He Got Games, and there is a noticeable, when holding one to the next, weight difference from the rep to the real thing. Again, is that going to get you called out? No, nobody's ever going to be able to feel how heavy your shoes are when they're on your feet. And so I don't like to do the side-by-side comparisons of the OG because I always get that in the comments too. We'll put it next to it so we can see. I don't like to do that because if I'm wearing these out on the street and somebody comes up to you, they're not going to have an OG Jordan to put next to your foot to compare it to. We're just looking at whether or not putting these right here on camera, anybody who knows anything about 13s knows some of the things that should be present. Can we wear these around somebody without having to have the real thing next to us to get us called out? And so let's just jump into some of the quality control issues. I like to call it the golf ball print. You can see how high quality the leather graining is on the toe box and the golf ball print. And the one thing that I do notice, and I don't know how well the camera is picking it up, is some of the stitching on the white leather golf ball portion is just frayed. Again, it's not enough for me personally to be able to look at and be like, those are fake. I've seen some OGs that after wearing them a couple times, especially if you wear pants with them that cover the top of the shoe, your pants start to wear those and fray them loose. And so it's not going to get you called out, but it is a brand new pair of shoes that have never been worn. And so that's kind of the stuff that you see on a pair of replicas that you don't see on OG Jordans that you pay full price for. It's just a better made with higher quality control shoe, and you don't have a lot of these defects. So while it's not enough to get you called out, it is present. There's also a scuff mark here on a pair of shoes. You can see it right there. That has never been worn before. I tried to wipe it off, it does not come off. And so again, you don't expect that on a pair of $200 shoes. Not gonna get you called out, but it is there. This suede is not as cushy, and that is always present on the 13s that I've ever reviewed. When you rub your finger across it, nothing happens. But if you grabbed a pair of OG He Got Game 13s or any other color, it's so plush that when you rub your finger on it, the suede changes direction of the way that it lies, and you can see it because it's just so plush. You're not going to be able to see that without putting your hands on it or without having a pair of actual 13s. I don't think it's enough to get you called out. Again, another thing, on the bottom you can see that the green Jordan does not completely fill the circle there on the sole of the shoe, but again, we're wearing these out. It's on the bottom of your foot. And I think just walking, nobody's gonna see that. So unless you got your feet up and you got somebody that's memorized every single nuance of this shoe and they're staring at it really closely, I don't think that's ever gonna get you called out. On this sole, there are a little bit more quality control defects here. You see a little bit of glue residue, you see some paint fill missing. Again, the Jordan is off center down there. You see some white here showing through on some bad paint. But again, if we're wearing these out on a city sidewalk, they're gonna get dirty. Even if you had a pair of OGs, after you wear them for a while, the soles start to show some signs of wear. That's a brand new shoe. It just looks like it's already been worn a little bit. I don't think that any oversight, unless something's missing, I mean, if that was completely gone and you had your foot up, somebody's gonna know right away. But I don't think that any of those little quality control defects are gonna get you called out wearing these around in everyday life. So with all that stuff said, and again, I just want to show you a close-up of the toe box too. There are some really quality materials that were used on this shoe, even though they're lighter. The graining on the leather on both the toe box and the golf ball portion, it looks really good. The Jumpman looks really good. That's one of the things that I always love reading in the comments when you look at these Jumpman logos and people are like, oh my gosh, it's so bad, like he's so fat, his legs are fat, his arm is skinny. And I'm like, I really didn't notice that. And so I take it and I put it next to my OG Jordans, and it's like a 1-for-1 match. I think oftentimes people just know that we're talking about a replica Jordan, and so they just want to bash it. I put these next to my OG 13s, and the Jumpman logo looks identical. This is a perfectly acceptable Jumpman logo here compared to the real thing. And so the one thing that I do want to get to that is always present on every pair of 13s that I have ever reviewed is the hologram. So I always save the best for last. There's no movement in these holograms. And at the $60 price point, and I know there's a glare, but you can see when I move it, it's just stationary. And so at the $60 price point, this tends to be what you get over and over and over again. And so for me, even though this is a really well-built shoe, with really nice textured granulated leather. All the nuances are supposed to be there. You can see that the little tongue badging says Jordan. That one's a little bent out of shape, but it is the right font. It's actually good looking. You know, it's not, you see sometimes that these Jordans have like the incorrect text on them, or they're just crooked lettering. You don't see any of that present. These shoes look really, really good, but that hologram, the fact that there's no movement to it, for me personally, if I saw somebody wearing these with a pair of shorts and that hologram wasn't covered up, right away I know that they're fake. And so 1 to 10 quality rating, not based on any of these oversights that we're talking about or quality defects. I'm gonna give these a 9 because it is a well-built shoe. They just look like they've been worn a couple times, even though they're brand new. So because of the frayed stitching and a little bit of glue residue and some paint fill missing on the bottom of the soles, like I say, a 9. It's nothing horrible. But the pass-fail grade, even though it's a really well-built shoe and comfortable shoe, unfortunately, it's a fail. If you wear these around anybody that knows what they're looking for, they're gonna be able to pick up right away that hologram isn't right, and you're gonna get called out. And so I hope you guys have found this video entertaining, useful, informative, whatever have you. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, comment below, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.